Revolution Movement Society, or R.M.S, is a community service social justice program located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I remember when I first began R.M.S, what led up to me even starting this program was a conversation I had with my good friend Larry Falcon and another friend of mine. I remember we were in Larry's house and we were talking about different things that were happening in the country. We were talking about the Michael Brown incident where Michael Brown was shot and killed by a cop, a young African-American male, and just different things. And we were kind of having a small debate, just talking about why things are the way they are in our country and what can be done. And I remember coming out of that conversation thinking to myself, someone needs to do something about this. I need to do something about this. I didn't know what I could do, but I just had the strong feeling that one day I'll have to just do something about what's going on. And it wasn't right for me to just sit and watch and complain. I've always been one to say, don't complain, do something. But regarding these things, I guess I always considered it to be something that was more for the president or someone with more power, an elected official, to handle. But now I've come to realize that through R.M.S, through Revolution Movement Society, that it's something that we can handle. Justice is something that a regular citizen can take part in, and affect and change in their own society, in their own country, wherever they are, in the whole of the United States. One of the people who's been with R.M.S since the beginning has been the great Reverend Larry Falcon. He's been a pioneer in West Philadelphia for years.
Hi, my name is Larry Falcon, and I've been pastor of Covenant Community Church for approximately 40 years. Began working with young people and children, teaching them the Word of God. But over the years I realized that the children couldn't even read the Bible that I was trying to teach them, so we needed to address other issues just beyond the issues of what we see in the Word of God. Over the years, working with the kids in the neighborhood, I began to realize that there were other forces and powers which were determining and limiting the progress that I was hoping to see in the lives of each one of the children. For example, one block up we had a factory that caught on fire and burned to the ground. And for the next week they pumped a chemical out, and it ran down Ludlow Street, turned down 44th Street, and went into the sewer system. And I found out that it was formaldehyde, which was highly carcinogenic. We called, my wife and I would call the EPA, and they sent an EPA man out here, and he indeed confirmed that it was highly carcinogenic, and he said, but you need industry in the city to provide jobs for the poor, so he said, so you lose a few guppies. So I realized that this was a life and death situation that we were dealing with. This was a highly toxic chemical. And so I didn't begin as an activist, but I began to realize that there were institutions and forces which were negatively impacted on the community that we had to deal with. I couldn't just try to teach them the Word, but I had to address the difficulties and problems that the greater and the broader community has laid upon the backs of the children. The fact that they couldn't read is another problem. They're going to school on a regular basis and graduating, and they can hardly fill out a job application. So my wife and I started a school to even address that need. So it's been an ongoing process. Because of the proliferation of crack houses all over our neighborhood, it was easy access to this highly potent and dangerous drug. So we started a group, a deaconess in our church started a group called South of Market Against Drugs, and we joined forces with Mantua Against Drugs, and an anti-drug coalition grew up and sprouted up throughout the city. And what it entailed, we would go to local neighborhoods at the behest of the community. They would ask us to come out. They would join forces with us, pointing out where the crack houses were. And we would stop the sales by standing in front of the crack houses and singing chants and addressing the consciences of the young people who were there. We found that a highly successful program. It was so successful, we were actually interviewed on 60 Minutes.
I remember the first R.M.S meeting that we had, it was just me and my sister. That was basically it, just me and my sister, you know. I invited a lot of my friends and said, you know, I'm gonna have this meeting, I'm starting this new group. Why don't you come out? A lot of them said, okay, I'll come out. Some said I can't make it. But when the day came, you know, I'm calling and texting people. No one showed up. But my sister, she said she would come, and she most assuredly did. She showed up, and she was there taking notes, taking the minutes. She said, oh, you know, you did a great job, and she just encouraged me, you know. And that was like the beginning of R.M.S, you know what I mean? And I'm so glad, you know, we're going over a year strong right now.
Basically, you can give someone a different perspective of how they look on something. And once you're able to do that, then it actually changes the direction that the person is going. So our clear goal is recycling the thought, which is basically saying, hey, you have this old way of thinking. Let's show you a new way of how to look at something. And once you gather a new way of looking at something, then it opens up a new possibility.
I never really considered myself an activist until the crack cocaine epidemic hit our city. Then I discovered that as cocaine is highly toxic and poisonous and is illegal, there was legal activity going on, releasing chemicals into the atmospheres with the full knowledge and permission of inner city and city powers, both in city council as well as the University of Pennsylvania. We were encouraged about the successes we had in South of Market against drugs. It gave us a sense of empowerment. We were working together with the community. We could see change taking place, and we could address those unjust institutions and forces with a united voice. And so out of the problem with the chemicals, tetrachloroethylene to be exact, which was being released into our atmosphere as they were attempting to put a McDonald's in our backyard, right in our community, and we found out they were releasing tetrachloroethylene in the atmosphere at levels acceptable to the Air Management Service of Philadelphia, the DEP, which is Department of Environmental Protection of the state, and the EPA, which is Department of Environmental Protection for the federal government. So out of that grew Neighbors Against McPentrification, where we found out that the University of Pennsylvania was the main institution involved, as they wanted to remove the McDonald's at 40 from Walnut from the campus, because, and I saw how they put it, it was bringing the McDonald's at 40 from Walnut was bringing undesirables into the campus community, which meant the African American community surrounding the University of Pennsylvania. And so we organized and fought McDonald's. McDonald's took me personally to court, the largest law firm in the world, but they had broken the law. They did not put a notice of intent to remediate. They were blowing this community in the atmosphere at levels acceptable to the Air Management Service of Philadelphia, which exceeded what HUD said should be allowed in the workforce community. They said this chemical should not be exposed for no more than 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. They were releasing this chemical into our atmosphere 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so we had victory. We had victory there. They took me to court. They lost, and the McDonald's is not behind our house. They did a cleanup. We even determined what kind of cleanup they had to do. Again, they wanted to release it into the atmosphere at low levels, and we suggested that they use bioremediation, which was to introduce microbes into the soil, which actually would eat up the tetrachloroethylene. So starting this organization led even to other areas where people called upon us, and they wanted us together as an organization to address the displacement of the local community, the indigenous community that's been living here for the last 30 and 40 years by the powers that be, including by the University of Pennsylvania, who are working with the city to redline, which is against the law, and displace the African American community so that there would be more room for University of Pennsylvania students.
Now, R.M.S meets twice a month. That's every other Saturday. And, from the start, it's really been a blast, It hasn't been, millions of people coming. We haven't had any kind of huge march or anything like that yet. But what I will say is that I've learned so much from being, in this program, from getting my friends to come to R.M.S, to tell people about R.M.S, to putting R.M.S online, starting the YouTube page, to just so many different things that you do that you don't realize, or things that you didn't know that you should know how to do, like writing a bill. I just recently figured out how to do that, and working on a bill right now. There's so many different things that you can do as a citizen in this country to help bring change. I remember one of the first things that we did as R.M.S was put posters in libraries. What happened was, basically, I went to a library around where I live at, which is a predominantly African American community, and I'm in the library. I actually asked the librarian where was the African American book section, and she said over here. I turned around, and it was like 2 books, literally 2 or 3 books on this shelf, and I said, wow, that's all? And I turned around, and there's a comic book section not too far away from that. And in the comic book section, there were huge posters of different comic books and different things attracting, kids to these comic books. And I thought to myself, wow, why is it such an why is it such an uproar and an attraction and an effort to attract, kids to the comic book section, whereas the section that attracts that's talking about their own history it has barely any books, and there's nothing attractive about it at all. So I said, well, I think we can make some posters, which is what we did. We created some posters. I went to some libraries and I said, hey, will you post these posters? And they were glad to. They said, okay, yeah, we'll take these posters, thank you. They were glad to receive these posters, So that was one of the first things that I did with R.M.S, and it really touched my heart, It's really more than just, a program or a group. It's not like just, like a motorcycle club or something like that. But it's more it's an avenue, I would say, that I have and that we have to help each other and help our brothers and sisters, all across the world. So it's pretty cool.
Over the years, as we, and by we I mean the different organizations we started to try to make significant change and to benefit our neighborhood, people would come and ask me the question, what can I do? Right off the bat, that's not the right question. It should be, what can we do? What can we do together to address these problems when we see that there are forces, powerful forces, very wealthy forces that have maps and plans for our neighborhood. They know long before we even know what they're going to do to us, not for us, not with us, but to us. And so the idea is to get people engaged and involved. And that's when I first heard of R.M.S, which was an organization which helps us address that question, what can we do? What can we do about the disparity between the money that goes to the Philadelphia School District and that goes to the suburban school? What can we do about the fact that so many African Americans unarmed are being shot in our cities throughout this country? What can we do about the problem of stop and frisk? And I know so many that were unjustly stopped and frisked by the Philadelphia Police Department. But R.M.S is seeking to answer these questions, more than just getting on the street and protesting, but coming up with ways and means to make significant change in the laws that are designed to keep people oppressed in the city. For example, we're trying to get a law put in place which makes it against the law that when a police officer shoots an unarmed citizen, regardless of his race, it would automatically go before a court of law. And this will not be determined by a DA or by a grand jury, but the law will be on the ballot, and if it's voted in, it would automatically, if an unarmed person, regardless of his race, is shot and killed, or shot by a police officer, since the person is not armed, it would automatically go before a court. So we've been working on the bill. We've been working on the bill, getting the wording right, and then we got to work to see if we can get it on the ballot in a future election so that we can vote this law into place. So
a lot of times I tell my friends and different people I meet, I have a community service group. It's called R.M.S, and a lot of times they don't really understand what I'm talking about. And it's kind of painful in a way, because not in the sense that they don't understand and that they may be turning me down, but in the sense that many people really don't understand that they have the power to create change in their society. Many people think the only way they can create change is by voting. They really think that besides voting for an elected official to make change, they have no power at all to make change. And I think that's really, really sad. We all have power to make change. To tell you the truth, before I started R.M.S, I had very little understanding about the amount of change that I could create, the amount of things that I could do to help better my community, you know what I mean? Things that actually I come to find that I should have been doing all along, So that's why I would advise anyone to come to R.M.S meeting, because it's something that we all should take part in, I don't want to die knowing that I had the ability to make a change in my community. I had the ability to change things, and I just didn't use that power, you know what I mean? Or that I was deceived in any way, So I would just advise anyone, come on down to our meetings, And we're not looking for a certain type of person, a lot of girls, a lot of guys, or this age group, that age group. Anyone who wants to come, you're welcome to come.
When David, in the Old Testament, took out the big giant, Goliath, all of Israel celebrated and rejoiced. And on a personal level, there's a great feeling of satisfaction, especially in R.M.S, when we see what we have accomplished and how far we've gotten and what we've even learned. We didn't know anything about how you even get a bill that will be put on the ballot. So there's a great sense of satisfaction that we're not just bemoaning the problems, but we're coming up with creating significant ways to make lasting change. So it's really encouraging. You really feel that you're accomplishing something. You feel so lost when you just see the problems over and over again, and you don't even know where to turn or how you can address it. But when you realize that there are creative ways to make a difference, there's a great sense of encouragement and excitement.
Now, if you're thinking, how can I join R.M.S? Here's how. Simply send a cash or a check to I'm just playing. You don't have to give us anything. R.M.S is a free program. We basically don't charge anyone for a membership or for anything. We don't want your money. We just want your time. And not for us, but for the community that we live in. You can come to our meetings. You can check us out on our website below and find out when we're having meetings. On our website, we always update when our meetings are. So if a meeting is canceled, you go on the website and find that out. We're also on YouTube. We put videos on YouTube from time to time, so you can check that out. We're always looking for new help from people who can, from whatever you probably can do. We probably can use you. There's so many different things that we need. It's not even funny. So but in all seriousness, if you want to join R.M.S, just come to one of our meetings. Check out our website, see when the next meeting is, and come on down. The meeting place and the meeting time will be there. We also have free snacks provided. So there's free food, there's people, there are people who could be your friends. We're your friends. You bring your friends. R.M.S has everything that you need. So come on down. We hope to see you soon and make effectual change in our community.